Om. Namaste to all of you. Today we are going to consider a very practical problem. A problem that each one of us is familiar in our lives. As a Hindu, as a Sanatani of these times, we are facing unprecedented problems. Amidst these unprecedented problems, there is a lot of confusion in the minds of the average Hindu, which is in fact triggering a lot of bigger problems. So let us look at this confused mindset of this average Hindu. By any stretch of measure, we are not going to make it very comprehensive, but we are going to just approach the problem and look at it from a societal perspective. And as usual, we have only few recourses. We will wrap the talk by looking at what we can do to fix this situation at an individual level, because we can't fix the society, we can't change the society, but we can take some measures at an individual level. So those who are interested can follow the article that is pinned on the top, that kind of gives a overview or a review of what we are going to look at today. So the Hindu society is having all sorts of problems, but the biggest threat is its very existential threat. And we have the desert religions on one side. The other side, we are faced with leftism, communism, liberalism, secularism, all sorts of isms that are trying to eat it alive. Years ago, Swami Chinmayananda coined a term called Arjuna disease. What he said as Arjuna disease was basically on a spiritual path, or when a person confronts a very, very deep problem which is connected to the spiritual side of a person, it literally makes the person either dig deeper or crumble. And we saw that someone like Arjuna, who was born in an excellent family, raised by the best of teachers like Drona, had come out in flying colors. The entire society was having expectations on him. The Arjuna who had a purpose went and did tapasya, pleased Bhagavan Shiva, got Pasupadastra, went to Devaloka, got all the Divyastras, performed a task for Indra, thus proved him again and again. And in one of the episodes, he even takes down the entire Kaurava army that included Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Ashwatthama, and everyone. And such is the prowess of Arjuna, and the entire Pandava army rested on his shoulders, on his power. If Arjuna said, "We can't fight, I don't see there is a possibility to win," I bet Yudhishthira would have said, "No point in this futile war." Yet, this Arjuna, when confronted with a situation where he should act in the interest of his own followers, gets completely broken down, gets completely confused, and needs Bhagavan's direction. Now, we can say, look, that is exactly what we are saying. If Arjuna can break down, what about us? We don't have all these abilities, so we are justified in behaving like a loser. That is not what the Hindu society is talking about. The Sanatana Dharma has been a very ancient order, aligned itself with Dharma, and the problems we are facing are of a different dimension. Here we are not talking about a spiritual crossroad. Here we are talking about a social crossroad, a political crossroad, an economic crossroad, a common sense crossroad, an IQ crossroad, an existential crossroad. And needless to say, the problems are so big that we probably need a guru or an avatara to come and fix all this. But what we have to do is raise ourselves and make sure that we are worthy of being saved by that avatara. Imagine this. 1971, that Battle of Longewala, we all know that border movie also was made, part fiction, part real. Imagine if the border post was run over by Pakistanis. Then our armed forces would have had only one option: to go back, fight and take it back. But since they were holding all night long, the role changed to, instead of beating the defense, now we could be on the stronger offense, on the upper hand. So same way, if a Bhagavan or an avatara wants to come and do all the changes what they want, they are expecting the common man like you and me. Are we at least attempting to save this? Are we at least attempting to protect this Sanatana Dharma? We may not have a cure for the heart attack or the cancer that it may be encountering, but are we at least doing small things like removing some of the sticking thorns, trying to cut the bleed? Are we at least attempting to do something that is worth for the gurus or the avatars who may come behind to protect? That's the question we are faced with. So, the biggest problem right now in Sanatana Dharma is most of us are not even aware of the Purusharthas. The 4 Purusharthas that are possible are Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We all know that. At least people who are coming here or regular here have heard of it. The bigger problem is no one in the society, the average person, the average book, the average movie or the average communication, even in an orthodox Astika family, is not about moksha. Is that not true? Is that not true that even in our families we are not bringing the topic of moksha. Now, since moksha is out of the vocabulary, what are we doing? At least are we discussing dharma? No. Dharma also has suffered the same fate as the word or the idea of moksha. So, what are we left with? We are left with nothing more than the problems that are seen in countries like South Korea or like in communist China, where the real faith and belief has been replaced and only money making has become primary, and that money making at any cost is the focus. And primarily what are we doing? We are only busy chasing money, and for doing that I am ready to do anything. Now you and I may not be in that shoes, but the society is pretty much by and large in that mold, which basically puts us in a corner because the society is also affecting us. So the important thing is we are constricting our vision of our life, our capabilities, our potential by discarding the idea of dharma. Now, was it always like this? Just a quick flashback. The Islamic invasions did bring a lot of brutalities to the Indian subcontinent. But Sanatana Dharma still had a strong ecosystem to survive. But when the Britishers came, they found that this is a very resilient system, and the only way to break it is to engineer some fissures at its weak spots. So they introduced the idea of caste. I again repeat, in India we had jati, we had kula, we had varna, we had ashrama, we had all those things. But what we didn't have was the idea of caste and the discrimination of a caste based environment. And whenever there was a sort of semblance of caste based discrimination, acharyas have come up and they have strongly condemned such an action and brought the masses back to the track. But the Britishers were smarter. There was a guy called Lord Risley. What he did was, he basically said, we will introduce a census and you guys need to conform to the listing. And he caught hold of the people and said, you tell whether you are number 1, whether you are number 2, number 3. There was no such idea people ever had. So if you didn't tell, your number was already chosen. And if you were born in one of those many tribal communities, due to the birth only you are born to be killed. It was so bad. Now, just like in China, you see, like you have this one child policy for 4 or 5 decades. Now China's government is begging and pleading and giving incentive to make people, hey, have 2 children, 3 children. But people are reluctant. Same way, the idea of segregating people as caste, which was a European idea, and this European idea was originally introduced by the Catholics. Spain and Portugal. And if you go to Latin America, like especially South America, you will still find this kind of caste system which was introduced. The caste, according to them, was pure white people or upper caste. White people having a cross with local people, that is second level, and people local, the indigenous tribes or the native people, they are the lowest. And such societal stratification, classification is still in vogue in South America. Maybe they won't show that very openly, but in case of India, what happened? Take that system, and you also look at someone like Macaulay, who introduced a lot of education-based reforms. By destroying, the Britishers totally destroyed the Gurukula system. And then what happened? People were not left to follow their Varnashrama Dharma. Now caste became a powerful way of dividing the society. And after independence, what happened? We got the so-called the only brown prime minister who would rule India on behalf of the British. I am referring to none other than someone who calls himself Pandit, but he is definitely not a Pandit. That is Nehru. And Nehru and his family, who didn't even consider his last name was even worthy of keeping it, they switched it to a fake last name, have found that if you want to keep the masses in certain groups voting for them, you need to engineer divisions in the country. And that is why the language based classification of states came into the practice. And that is why you find a lot of political parties that were caste based. The voting patterns were all solidified around castes. And even today you will find all these so-called psephologists and election analysts all the time harping, whether it is Rajdeep or whether it is NDTV or whether it is all these idiotic prostitutes, they non-stop hanker and blabber that this vote bank is like this, that vote bank is like that. The Jats voted like this, the Sikhs voted like this. They create this kind of aura around this kind of caste-based division, and none of these guys would want a reconciliation in the society, that a person could vote on their feet with their head held high. And these socio-political parties, what they do is they keep the divisions between the people continuously going on deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, if it is within the Hindus, imagine what they are doing with other communities by stoking them, by creating all sorts of issues, by doing any and all sorts of damage. Why? Because some of the elements in the political process cannot have relevance without anarchy. And anarchy means I don't care if I have to destroy the society, it's all about me. I'll give you an example. 1971, 72, whatever, that's the time when Karunanidhi introduced alcohol in Tamil Nadu. This was the most conservative state, and many pleaded, please don't do that. Today, if you are in Tamil Nadu, if you are on any part of the Tamil Nadu, you will not be surprised whether it is a guy or a girl or even a kid who is totally drunk and lying somewhere on the road, like worse than an animal. Now, the entire political party system, the government is running on the life and literally the death of so many people. By keeping people ignorant, by keeping people emotionally charged and attached to meaningless ideas, by keeping people attached to idiotic loyalties like caste or things like that, these politicians extract a high price of the destruction of the entire society. And we must understand this. Now, let's look at it like this. We often say like, hey, India is a secular country. Understand what are the roots of secular. Why did we even get this secular idea? Where did it come from? This secular idea came from Europe, because Europe, when it first got contacted by Christianity, by Paul and others in 60 AD or something like that, they were not even like a Christian country. But by the time 330 came and Constantine started taking over, it became a Christian country. And by the time they felt we need some representative, so there was no Pope until then. The Pope was a position that was created, and then the king had all the power, and the king would appoint the Pope, and the Pope would then agree and accept and bless the king. So it was called a circle of power. It was like that till Charlemagne, the French king, died after having a tiff with the Pope, and there were forces aligned on both sides. So the premature death of Charlemagne gave the Pope to guide the child, the son of him, the king, who was only 2 years, 3 years, something like that, a toddler. So the Pope wrote something called as Dictus Papae. All these things are all documented. You can even Google and you can find it. Dictus Papae. Dictus Papae, the Pope signed himself that a lot of powers, like 15, 20 extra powers that which were not even there. Now what happened? The Pope took absolute control and he started taking the power to a new level. You go and look at the bad popes. You look at so many corrupt popes, popes who were raping, popes who were killing, murdering. The messiest times. It's called the Dark Ages. And it's actually a funny thing. It's like it just tells you what both these desert religions are made up of. Their darkness just emanates. So fast forward a few more centuries, you have the Martin Luther King revolution, the Protestant revolution. You got a few other situations where people said, I am separating myself. Like, say, for example, Henry VIII, he wanted to marry his nth wife. And the Pope said, no, you already have a few more. And sorry, Atmaji, I got disconnected. Are you there? Can you hear me? I think I got disconnected. Thanks, Sri. Okay, so I accidentally touched some button probably. So basically, what happened? The Pope, the ruling governments fell off with the Vatican. So the Anglican Church was born because he could go and marry a new wife or do whatever he wanted. So this was the sad state of affairs, that the church was totally corrupt and they wanted to get away from the church. And now you bring an idea of science that came, the Renaissance. And then what happened? The governments said, hey, church cannot interfere in our affairs. So the church and the government were separated, and they called that as secularism. Just remember this, the church cannot interfere that way in. Now this is a European problem and a European solution. But if you look at in India, we expanded this nonsense by mixing up ideas of socialism and said that all religions same. Yes, all religions same. We treat, government will not discriminate. But the thing is that the individual Hindu is continuously shamed for even following and being a Hindu. If you are a Hindu, you are a communal. But you can be a Sikh, you can be a Christian, you can be a Muslim, it doesn't matter. But if you say a Hindu in India, this is the only joke in the entire universe where the majority religion cannot even claim that I am a majority, cannot even say, and of all, it is not even an oppressive religion. Like we don't have words like in the Bible or in the Quran that says, hey, people who are not following us are pagans, heathens, kafir, kill them. We don't have things like, hey, non-Hindus will pay special tax, but non-Muslims are still paying tax. We are paying in the form of halal. I say boycott all companies that are having halal. I don't care how big their brands are. That's a form of Muslim tax. But this is the problem of secularism. We don't even understand what is actually breaking India, what is actually doing all this. The reason why they do is secularism is the first step of numbing you, uprooting you, deracinating you from Sanatana Dharma. Once I have deracinated you, you have no idea how easily I can convert you into a leftist, into a communist, into a anti-national, into convert even your religion. It's so easy. It's so easy. All I have to do is take your roots off, and once I have done that, you don't stand a chance. Now, this problem also has another dimension. You will see that only Hindus have to be secular. The call for secularism will never come for a Muslim or a Christian, because according to them, they don't even have to respect you. Have you ever seen the Pope say that I respect all religions? He won't. And that is the level of bigotry. But we say, Akashat Padidam Toyam Yada Gacchati Sagaram Sarvadeva Namaskaraha Kesavam Prati Gacchati. We say all these things. By nature, a Hindu understands you can take any path to the mountaintop. But the desert religions have it's my way or the highway. And even if it is my way or the highway, if you say nothing, even if you quote their book and tell the truth that there was a psychologically deranged person who was a pedophile, it triggers all sorts of situations in the society. Nonetheless, we have to understand that, like what Swami Chinmayananda said, the need of the hour is to teach Hindus to follow Hinduism. And that is the sad state. And how do you do that? When we don't even know what is real and what is unreal. For example, you ask an average Hindu, who was Mother Teresa? Oh, she did lot of service in Kerala, in West Bengal, in Calcutta. She did lot of good work. Go and look at BBC. BBC has a documentary on how corrupt she was, how she would collect the money in the name of missionary, but she will be funding dictators. How she was funding dictators. How she would reuse the same needle she would instruct people to reuse the same needle. She didn't care if you were alive or dead. Once you are converted, you are just expendable. If you are not converted, you are still expendable because she won't give you the medicine. All these are not created allegations by us, but these are documented by BBC itself. The other issue with the Hindu right now is, we either think on one side like, oh, you know what, Indian society is so great, we had nuclear bomb back in the Mahabharata time, we had this flying. Forget all about those. You and I can't prove or disprove any of those things. But can we at least take what is concrete? You can prove that a lot of mathematical, scientific information came from our rishis. There are a lot of benefits that in following our Indian value of life, culture. For example, take Ekadasi Upavas. It's not easy for a lot of people to do Upavas, but the Ekadasi means the 11th day from either the new moon or the full moon, Amavasa or Paurnami, right? And today there are so many papers. A few years ago, a guy got a Nobel Prize for writing a paper on autophagy, which our rishis knew was happening during fasting. So the thing is that we need to have that sense of pride and connection with what our ancient masters have done. If you really look, the way we are disrespecting our historical monuments, and you come and look at some other countries which don't even have a tenth of the history. US history is what? Max tops 400 years because these guys only think only the white Americans and Europeans who came here only have part of history. They are so idiotic that they won't even consider the 10,000-year-old history of the Native Americans. And that is how these people are raised, to think only in a Abrahamic lens. But in India, what we are doing, we have no respect for the monuments. We go and put all sorts of drawings and caricatures and things like that and destroy all sorts of ancient monuments. You go to your temple, you do prasad and then you wipe the prasad on the kamba. Or get all the kumkum and put it on the kamba. That's not how it is supposed to be. So we need to develop some basic civic sense and common sense. The guys are taking good care when they come to abroad, when they come to certain countries, they don't throw any litter. The minute they get into India, we throw litter. This kind of a fake standard. We need to get real serious about ourselves. And what has that got to do with the average Hindu? Because See, even if I was telling you about the eating practice, the average practice in the past, at least even up to 100 years ago, was only eating twice a day or once a day. You go and recall either old movies or how instances you can see some references that person will eat only 2 times. Even in the movies that were made in 60s and 70s, accidental references like this are available. I remember one Tamil movie which was about sage Agastya, where the character would wake up in the morning, he will go and his wife would bring lunch in the afternoon, and then evening he will come and he will have his dinner. So we are now, what we are doing instead, we are now, oh, you know what, we should eat meat like the Western people. In India, meat was eaten very sparingly, so health was good. People used to eat a diverse range of fruits, vegetables, grains that were conducive to our climatic conditions. But today, everybody wants to eat Krispy Kreme, KFC, Pizza Hut. The funny thing is, many of these in India, the Domino's pizza has been documented not to even use cheese, real cheese as the cheese pizza. They are using some synthesized plastic thing. And we are like, oh, Domino's pizza, we will go and have some. The level, so at all levels we are compromising. At health level we are compromising. At the mind level we are compromising. At the intellectual level we are compromising. Even at the atmic level we are compromising. And where is this? Because one of the problems is because of the role models we have. For example, in the past, when people needed a role model, who do they used to look at? They used to look at Rama, Krishna, some avatara. Or they used to look at some great personalities. You want to speak truth? You look at Harishchandra. Look, even at the cost of his son's death and even at the cost of his own life and his wife's life, he was still so strongly committed to speaking truth. Or if you want to know who overcame so many challenges to fulfill a mission, we tell about Bhagiratha. We still call it as Bhagiratha Prayatna. So the role models we had were of very elevated level. But today's role model, who is the role model? Average person. It's a idiotic Bollywood, Kollywood, Tollywood star, movie star, or a politician, or a stupid, even more stupid sports personality. None of these personalities have the character strength. If you want to copy them, what do? Look at it, how we used to copy a role model. So if I want to copy Rama as my role model, what do I see? I say, hey, Rama is so calm even in the face of so many problems. Rama is doing so many great things. He is humble. He is connected with all these simple people. He is treating Guha the same way, Jatayu the same way. He is not showing that he is the prince or anything like that. So we look at the guna and karma of that personality, of that avatara, of that Mahatma or that Mahapurusha, and we copy that. Now you want to copy, let's say you want to copy a personality. You want to copy Tendulkar. What can you copy? Everybody is idolized to that idiot. Why I call him idiot is, the people were foolish enough to send him as a MP to Rajya Sabha. This guy went there, collected the money, did nothing, didn't even go and attend, didn't even pass a vote on the bill, on a single bill, and he came back and nobody questioned him. And he is your role model. You have Shah Rukh Khan smoking in every place and in all the old movies, and he is talking bad about everything, and still he is your role model. You have people who are like Rajinikanth, who smoked and promoted drinking in Tamil Nadu heavily. You have Kamal Hassan, who has no moral values, the least moral values. No wonder he converted as a rice bag, because that is the level of sins. His conscience must have been really pricking. That's the only way he might be thinking that he can escape all the sins. But he doesn't understand all the Mahapapa he has done of cheating so many people, and the people he has betrayed, that is coming with him to the next Janma. So what has happened is, instead of following so what is the worst we are doing? We need a personality to copy, and we look at someone, and what we do is we start looking like them and copying like them. So if you want to follow Abdul Kalam, what should you do? You should be having a thought process that would mimic him. You should have a thought process that mimics Abdul Kalam's mindset. He studied Bhagavad Gita too. So how many of Hindus are studying Bhagavad Gita? Forget about Muslims studying Bhagavad Gita. So what happens is, instead what we do is we settle down for his actions, his dressing. So that is what the Congress party right now is doing. Hey, this son of Rajiv Gandhi is looking exactly like his father. Well, son looking like father, you should not have any doubts. If you are having so many doubts in son looking like a father, do a paternity test. Seriously. How they promote another fake last name lady Sion in that family? Oh, she looks like her grandma. Are we voting for how she looks? Is it a fancy dress competition? And that is what we have reduced ourselves to, because that is exactly how people are thinking. So the average Hindu is looking at someone with these artificial qualities which you can mimic, rather than a complete transformation of guna and karma. Now, there is another problem. All the people whom we look up, the gurus, many of these gurus have gone astray. Some of them deliberately, some of them not so, but in their ignorance. Let's take the one that started the trend, Swami Vivekananda. He revived Sanatana Dharma, no question on that. A lot of credit goes to him. But what happened? Today's Ramakrishna Mutt, why are they talking about the Sermon on the Mount when you are giving the lecture of Upanishad to another Hindu? You are talking a Hindu Vedantic text to a Hindu. But why should you give an example of Christianity? Do they expect all Hindus to know about the Bible? They are only training the people to get converted. So this kind of nonsense has been going on. The same thing, I will give you even worse example. I will give you another worse example, that is Paramahamsa Yogananda. You will see his picture everywhere in every bookstall. Now, the foundation that is responsible, the SRF Foundation and its another splinter organization, are in intense competition how to use Yogananda's legacy to introduce Christianity in India. They are not even having any shred of shame. They converted, if you look at, they even have Bhagavad Gita written in a Christian language so that they can promote. Now, if you go to the 1960s, when there was all this hippie movement and things like that, 60s and 70s, if the gurus were smart enough, they could have converted US into a Hindu country. They could have easily made it into at least a 30-40% Hindu country. But instead, what they did, they would come and say all gods are same. So you can say instead of when they ask for a mantra, they say Om Jesus, or something like you want, just like you say Hare Rama Hare Krishna, you can say Hare Jesus, Om Jesus. This was the level of stupidity our acharyas have done. I am telling you not fiction, I am telling you actual instances. In fact, once in one of the videos I heard Rajiv Malhotra say that one of the teachers told this to a Jewish guy who was wanting to convert to Hinduism, but the guru didn't even know that a Jew is different from a Christian. And it was that pathetic. So the important thing here I want to highlight is there is a difference between, there are two levels. One is a Paramarthika level. The other one is Vyavaharika level. That is, one is the way Bhagavan sees all of us. To Bhagavan, whether you are a Deva or Asura, it doesn't matter. He will give you the same blessing. But if you were to look at Bhagavan and you are looking at the Jagat, you and I see it differently. And that is Vyavaharika. So, for example, why do we have day and night? Is it because the sun is acting differently? No. The sun is always shining. Nobody switches on and off at day and night. So, what is the actual thing happening here? The earth is spinning around its axis, so we get day and night. So, the change in the Vyavaharika is what is responsible for the day and night, the same way you are seeing how societal changes are happening. Let's take a simple example. We are all familiar, right? E is equal to mc square. That means energy is convertible into mass and the other way around. So, instead of you treating all, now I say like treat all foods as same. So, instead of giving you nice food, if I give you a cup of sewer, will you drink? So, that is the level of our misunderstanding. You remember this story that is being told very often, that there was a disciple who was with his guru, who taught that everything is Advaita. Everything is the same. Now he goes into the forest one day, and people are coming and telling, hey, there is an elephant that has gone wild, don't go that side. And then he said, don't worry, I can take care. Then the mahout came running. He said like, hey, I am the elephant caretaker, don't go that side, it even threw me. This fellow said, my guru has told, don't worry. So he went there. The elephant saw him, threw him off, and he had a lot of broken ribs. And other people found him and took him, bandaged him up and took him to the guru. The guru came and said, the minute he saw the guru, he started cursing him. He said, I listened to you and this is what happened. The guru said, what did you do and what did you tell me the entire sequence of operation? So he told him that. The guru said, look, how simple it is. You didn't follow anything what I said. If you listened to me, you would have listened to the people who first came and warned you. The second thing, when the elephant mahout came and told you, you should have listened to him. You didn't listen to him because you didn't respect that person also. Now, thirdly, what happened? If you had respected the elephant, you have left that place, you would not be in this situation. But in spite of all that, you are broken. Now, you are saying that I am responsible for this. Look at it this way. Whether you are broken or not, there should be no difference to you from the Advaitic standpoint. Why are you even cribbing about me? So this is the place where we are confused. We don't know where to differentiate especially the gurus who are teaching us are not in a position to help us see the difference between what is the Paramarthika plane, what is the Vyavaharika plane. And they don't tell this caveat. So what happens? We get more and more confused and we tend to go in circles, taking some knowledge from the Paramarthika plane and trying to apply wrongly in the Vyavaharika plane. You can't cut and paste like that. See, the laws of physics that will apply in one level will not apply in the other. So, for example, the laws of the Newtonian physics will completely break down when you are talking about either extremely small particles like say subatomic particles, or when you are talking about extremely large objects like say galaxies and even bigger. So you can't be talking about Newtonian physics there. There the laws totally change. So we need to understand that many of these gurus are only spreading their ignorance without even understanding what the theology of Abrahamism is. We will talk about how to deconstruct Abrahamism some other time. Maybe make it as a series. Okay. Then the other problem we have as a Hindu is, hey, the gurus themselves are not connected to Vedas and Vedanta. You see all the New Age Babas that are there. You see Jaggi. He says Shiva is not even Hindu. But he is having a Shiva statue and he is making business out of it. He is packaging the backyard garden soil and selling it for 100 rupees or 200 rupees, whatever that thing. He is a businessman. And the people who are idiotic enough to go and buy that have no brain. So the average Hindu is searching and treating this person as if like he is a messenger of God, when this person is saying that there is no God. He doesn't know anything. He is the one who is bad-mouthing Rama and Krishna, Shiva. All these are available on YouTube. And here is the Hindu community, average Hindu community, looking at him as if like he is a god. And this is exactly what will happen after he passes away. Just like we made a non-Hindu Sai Baba as a guru, and that Sai Baba has even displaced our Devi and Devatas murtis from the temples. That is the level of craze. Is Sai Baba mentioned in the Vedas? Is Sai Baba mentioned in any of our rishis or any of the texts we have? But we are so stupid that we want any person who can give some solution for us. I was giving a similar talk today morning, and one gentleman told me his understanding of spirituality was whenever he experiences some of his desires to manifest, that he feels the superior power. I said that is not superior power, it is just your mind feeling that your desire is happening. So this is how the average Hindu gets confused. We, on the top of it, we watch and learn from only the media. We don't take the book and study Ramayana or Mahabharata. Take for example, Mahabharata. 60% of all the content or the slokas are in Shanti Parva and Anushasana Parva, roughly. But when they showed the TV serial, they showed for the last episode only and for the last half an hour only, and whatever was told by that actor Bhishma had nothing connected with what was told in Mahabharata. He mumbled some secular dialogues that were given to him. It was nothing related with Mahabharata. And what is our source of Mahabharata? TV. I will give you another example. In Tamil Nadu, there was an actor called Shivaji Ganeshan, and he was too old to play some of the roles. I will give you just two quick instances. One instance where he played the role of Karna, because they made him the central character, so they had to amplify whatever he is saying. They cooked up so much of BS. They literally cooked up so much amount of junk, and they fed the masses as if it was there. And today's Tamil Nadu people who have never touched Mahabharata, they think that whatever Shivaji Ganeshan has acted is real. Whereas what he acted was only 100% blasphemy. If it had happened to other religions, he would have been burnt alive. But we Hindus keep quiet. That's the problem. I'll give you another example what Shivaji Ganeshan did. He wanted to act as Lord Muruga, Subramanya. Just a second. And so what happened? He was too old. So they told that he was too old. So he took the number 2 character in Skanda Purana, that is Veeravahu Devar, and he changed the lines and reduced Muruga to almost become like his puppet, almost like his disciple. He would be barking out instructions at Skanda, and Skanda would be carrying out as if like he was the one who gave all these orders originally. Such a reduction of caricature was tolerated because, and those have formed the education media for the masses, unfortunately. So it is imperative that when we look at all these gurudams, whether it is Jaggi or Sri Sri or all these people these people are not actually saving the society like many people argue, like, hey, you know what, these people are preventing other people from getting converted. Nothing of that sort. In fact, these people are facilitating easy conversion. How? Because they are cutting you off the roots. They are cutting you off the roots. Which idiot will be telling Shiva is not a Hindu? And he has thousands of followers, lakhs of followers believing and listening to this kind of nonsense. So these kind of gurus have injected deep venom into the mindset of the average Hindu who is already confused, because we already saw in the beginning, right? We have already divorced dharma and moksha, and we are so much focused only on artha and kama, and on top of that we want some spiritual connection, and here comes all the peddlers of lies and canards that we end up following this. So this issue is very, very important. So how do we understand? And then they also keep telling you, hey, all roads go to top. That was told for the Vedic umbrella, that whether you follow the path of Nyaya or Vaisheshika or Mimamsa, Vedanta, in Vedanta you are following Advaita, Advaita, Visishta, Advaita, all of them go to the mountain top. And Sanatana Dharma, all the people are supposed to be following Vedas as the ultimate source. Whether you know what the Vedas are, whether you know the count of Vedas or name of Vedas also, it is not matter. But that is what an Astika is by definition. Then who is a Nastika? Anyone who doesn't accept what is a Vedas. Now there are some religions that were born out of Sanatana Dharma that accept Dharma but they don't accept Vedas. like Jainism and Buddhism. Now these people are focused on dharma at least. But then there is another form of Nastika which is called Charvaka. It says, forget about dharma, forget about anything, don't worry about eat, drink, be merry, do what you want, who cares, what the heck. And they tell it in a very sweet way, and that is what Charuvaka. Charu means very sweet. And they are the actual people whom you should be calling as atheist. And by definition, in Nastika, one subsection of Nastika is only atheism. But what we are now telling, what everybody in the clubhouse or in social media or everywhere is telling, Hinduism accepts atheists also. That is the biggest lie which they have been repeatedly telling, and we also keep believing it. How can you be an atheist inside Hinduism? Just think about it. You can have Saguna Brahman, Nirguna Brahman discussion. You can have whether it is Shiva, Vishnu, Devi or Skanda or Ganesha, Surya, whatever, that you can have. But definitely you can't have atheism as a branch of Hinduism. And this kind of stupidity is what is being repeatedly told to Hindus, and we don't even argue with them. We say, yeah, that's right. Atheists are also Hindus. This atheist as a part of, you can be a cultural Hindu. That is the second category. See, in the umbrella of Hinduism today, we have Hindus who are, majority of them are even afraid to tell that they are Hindus. Then you have a category where you have people who are cultural Hindus. They just follow. Diwali, they will celebrate. If somebody gives you prasad, they will eat it. That's all. They won't behave like the Abrahamic who will frown upon you for giving prasad. Right? That is the level of Hinduism today we are having, unfortunately. And then you can't bring the atheists and attach it to this bucket of cultural Hindus and say, look, these two are same. This argument is again confusing the Hindus and facilitating easier conversion. So be on the guard. Then we have the other idea, right? Lot of, if you look at, for example, the Western countries, lot of Western countries are becoming atheists. Many places, whether in Europe and even in some places in US, the churches are getting closed. I was recently seeing a location, a place in Florida. I was there some time back, and I was seeing a place and they said church for sale. It's kind of amusing, but it was saying church for sale. Because all these churches are nothing but only real estate power control centers. That's all. So what happens is, this atheism disease that is spreading and infecting the Abrahamism, our Hindus are also copying, because the people who are on the fringe, the one who is already socialist, one who is leftist, liberalist, communist, brainless, all these people who have cleaved themselves away from Dharma, the farthest, they are all prone to this kind of atheistic attack, atheistic mindset attack. So let us understand, see, the entire idea of Abrahamism or any other religion is all about what? Swarga or Naraka, heaven or hell. But Sanatana Dharma is not talking to you about heaven or hell. It says incidentally heaven or hell can also happen, but your focus is not on heaven or hell, you want to focus on moksha. Okay, given. Different acharyas have described moksha as different. If you ask an Advaitin, it is like merging Jivatma, merging with Paramatma. If it is, what is it like, if you ask a Dvaiti, he says, hey, Jivatma, Paramatma are two categories, how can they come? That is only a theoretical, academic argument. But unfortunately, what we are doing is we have dropped the ball in the most biggest issue of not understanding where the Paramarthika ends and where the Vyavaharika begins. We cut and paste effortlessly, freely, so much that we don't even understand what is happening. I will tell you the level of stupidity is so much that if you have, say, Christmas coming on, you get greetings from other Hindus saying Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. I said, like, you don't even have Christmas as your, why are you wishing me? But if you express the same wishes to the other Hindu, say Ramanavami or Krishna Jayanti or Mahashivratri, the guy is so upset. He says, you have to be sensitive to everyone in the group. Why are you telling Ramanavami in the WhatsApp group? There could be other people who are not believing in Rama. I said, then it is okay for you to wish me Christmas for a thing which I don't even believe. I don't even believe that a fictional character called JC was even there. So the thing is that you want to believe a fiction, but you don't want me to appreciate. So this is the level to which the modern Hindu is confused. We are so busy aping the West, we don't even know our nakshatras. We don't even know our what is our nakshatra birthday, right? We are so busy following the West. Look at the difference in the culture. In Sanatana Dharma, we light a lamp on an auspicious occasion. In the Western country, you blow out a candle. In Sanatana Dharma, we celebrate the festival of lights. And these idiots in the Europe have hijacked the Sanatana Dharma influenced Celtic celebration of honoring the ancestors, and they hijacked it as Halloween. And they celebrate darkness. Go figure that. It roughly happens around the same time. Diwali and Halloween roughly come around the same time. So, the average Hindu has been again and again and again beaten up, made to be shameful that he is born as a Hindu. On top of this, you have the media, you have prostitutes who non-stop keep blabbering at us, whether they make sense or not. They keep blabbering at us, telling that, oh, Hindus are doing this, Hindus are doing that. Then you have these kind of scoundrels like Chidambaram, who cook up lies to bolster the missionary agenda by saying there was Hindu terror. And here is a person who certifies others on who is speaking truth. So you have to understand a whole host of forces are at work here. Starting from the intrinsic problem of what is in Kali Yuga, that we don't focus on how we have divorced the Purusharthas and reduced it from 4 to 2, and how we are constantly our ecosystem is broken down for the last 200-300 years, how our weak spots have been exploited for socio-political purposes, for selfish reasons. And on top of that, we don't have, even if you are having a child, let's take an average child, how it grows in today's world, and let's conclude that. So that will probably be apt for us to ponder. So don't take let's take the average person. The average person in this room, for example, is middle-aged, somewhere between 30 to 40 or 50. So some people will be younger, some people will be older. But let's take that's the age group. So what happens? Let's wind this average person a 20-30 year back, or even to their childhood. Let's take everybody who is here, go back to your childhood. What were your parents and mine doing? The average parents were busy making a living and they were too busy to teach Shastras or the importance of it or whatever. But they understood knowledge is our only ticket because that's what our rishis have told. But what the rishis told was Atma Vidya. But what our parents have come to follow, because the previous 3, 4, 5 generations have dropped the ball, they understood only the twisted argument or the misinterpreted level that knowledge. They forgot Atma Vidya. They just took Vidya. And what happened? They said like, hey, study. So the minute a child is born, so we are focused on putting them in a good school, putting in so many extracurricular activities, sending them to good schools, focus on their grades. And when they get to that crossroads, we tell that, hey, you are a doctor or an engineer. In North India, they add one more, hey, you are going to the administrative class, like IAS or IPS or something like that. In South India, totally that also is gone. Okay. And then you tell all the people who are rejected, including the engineers, you fall into the bucket of IT. Go and get a job in some IT company. So everybody is reduced to this. And then once a person is getting, whether it is in college or wherever, they are busy, hey, I am finding a girl, or parents find a girl for you, doesn't matter. You get married, you get busy, you have a child, you do it all over again. Now you are slowly getting little tickle in your head. Hey, you know what? The value systems that what we have gotten from our ancestors is not the same value system we are having. And the value system is something which we need to revive and need to focus. And this value system is what is unifying all the people here, all the satsangis here, to think about it. And we make an attempt and we try to incorporate that. But by the time the train has already left the station, the child has already gone out of your reach. The child has already grown, or child has already gone out of your orbit of your influence. So what is happening is, we are not able to pass those values to the next generation, and even if we do, it is at best a fraction of what we even inherited. And this problem is one of the biggest problems facing a Sanatana Dharma. Now if you look at, I don't care about people who make odd comments. There are some people who say like, we are spreading hatred here. We are not spreading hatred. We are not talking about other religions in vain. We are only telling what is truth. Do Christians call you pagan and heathen and treat you differently? Go to a church and see what they are teaching. Go to the places where how they convert. They talk so badly about Hinduism, and these backboneless Hindus come and have the guts to say that we are spreading hatred. I don't want anybody to have hatred on any religion. When the Abrahamic religions, they have only one thing. If you are not their kind, they are feeling legitimate that they can kill you, they can eliminate you, they can deceive you, they can digest you. So that is a fact. If people don't have the backbone or the IQ level or even at least the intellectual honesty to even accept the fact, they are not even qualified to pass a stinking comment. They can keep their stinking comment with themselves, and if they are finding this room too hot, they can get out. They can easily get out. We are not talking about hatred about other religions. And people who are coming here regularly know that we are not about talking about hatred about other religions. We are only talking about the messed up mind of a Hindu, and that was the most wonderful demonstration anybody could have arranged. How the idiotic Hindu doesn't even understand anything different from what is, he doesn't even, I'm pretty sure the person didn't even understand what was secularism, which I took so much time to explain. They can go back into the replay and listen. So secularism is the disease which we don't even know how to handle, and secularism is the facade they are hiding behind, and they are attacking Sanatana Dharma. So become a proud Hindu. That is the first thing. You don't have to be, now if you are a proud Hindu, see, if you are abroad, it is very difficult to wear your tilak or your vibhuti or something like that, or your kumkum. But in India itself, many people are not wearing it. A civilization that came from so many thousands of years, you go to Harappan culture, even Harappan times, even then people were wearing kumkum. But average girl in India is ashamed to wear bindi. Now this is not, now that it becomes retrograde for the person, whereas the same idiot would come and argue that wearing burqa is liberation, that is the right of a Muslim person. And this kind of intellectual stupidity is the epitome of the modern confused Hindu. So how do we overcome that? Let's conclude this thought by a few ideas. I already alluded to the fact that how we don't even connect ourselves. The root of the problem is we are disconnected from the root. The root of the problem is we are disconnected from the root. So take half an hour, Saturday, Sunday, and basically if you can do 10-15 minutes daily, great. Take few slokas of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, whatever appeals to you. If you say, no, I don't want anything related with Vishnu, I am a Shaivite. There are so many texts of Shiva. Though so many Shiva Agamas are there. Oh, no, I am a Devi Upasaka. You got so many books too. So, my bandhus, we don't have a dearth of literature given by our acharyas and so many other people. All we need to do is take advantage of it. Take advantage of it, and it is a sadhana. If you want to develop muscle, for example, right? Let's say that you have to do like 20-30 reps of push-ups every day. Now, if you do push-ups every day, 20-30 push-ups every day, and you are going to be so buffed up in so many days, in so many months. But can I do 1000 push-ups in one day and expect to get the same level of muscle? And that is where we are dropping the ball. We are also imagining this idea, hey, when I get past 50 or 60 or 70, I will do that. It is not going to happen. I will tell you why it is not going to happen. Because we don't follow Varnasrama Dharma any longer. Now, for understanding what is Varnasrama Dharma, just a quick side note. Because many people look at it as if it is a sin if you say the word Varnasrama. First, to understand, of course, there are a lot of scholars in the audience. They can correct me if I am wrong. First of all, you have to understand what is Varna and what is Asrama. For understanding those two, you need to understand what is Guna and Karma. Now, all of us know here, we are all made up of the entire Prakriti, entire universe or the multiverse or whatever it is. All of nature is made up of 3 gunas. There is nothing that exists in nature that is not made up of 3 gunas. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So we are also having Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And our Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is in constant flux. And the way our gunas are, they have an impact on how we express them. And that is what we call as karma. So, if you say, so and so is a very good person, what does he do? He does nothing. How is that tenable? How is that even acceptable? So your gunas have to be expressed. Oh, so and so is a very good person. What does he do? He kills everyone. How is that a good thing? Is he killing all bad people? Is he killing people for protecting dharma? No, 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 no. He just kills everyone. But basically, he's a good person. How can you say that? So, gunas are the foundation and they are the basic intrinsic nature that get expressed as karma. Now, you are expressing this in two forms. One, through your societal, through your own internal makeup. So that is like a large percentage. We already talked in earlier many times in Q&A and other places how the ratio, what is the primary and secondary nature of which guna determines your varna. So just as a quick refresher, if somebody is having tamas as the primary and rajas as the secondary, you are fitting into the shudra. Now that is not a bad thing. That is how we all are. So we are all born as shudras, says Mahabharata. And even in Skanda Purana also, now there are arguments like, there are two arguments amongst scholars, two different rishis. One says that, hey, all are born as Brahmana, by progressively losing all the good qualities, we go down to Shudra level. Whereas another argument is, no, we are all born as Shudra, but by progressively adding qualities, we can go to the other Varna. So it doesn't matter whether it is forward gear or backward gear, but basically this is a guna karma expression. So you take now a person who is an average person who is working in the office. Is he motivated by big thing? No, he will work for getting his salary. That's all. Whether it is government office or IT office, doesn't matter. Right? So we are at the fourth level. And what is that one trait of that Shudra? He is after Sukham. Isn't every single jiva after Sukham? The primary driver of every single, that is the very definition of the word Shudra, Sanskrit definition. Now if the person is having Rajas as the primary and Tamas as the secondary, that is what all the business people are. They want to work hard in a short while, but they want to relax. You see, during COVID time, our Google founder, one of the founders, disappeared. They say like, where was this guy? He's not seen in the news. Oh, he was just cooling his heels in Fiji, in one of the islands. He was just living there. So you see a lot of these rich people, after they go through a certain point, they say, hey, I am becoming a philanthropist. Basically, that means that I am not going to do my job. I'll just use all the money what I have the way I want to spend. Right? Now, if your primary focus is on Rajas, but you are backed by Sattva, your focus, the Vaishya is only focused on Artha. Needless to say that. But the Kshatriya is focused on what? Dharma. We already saw Dharma is looking at from a broader vision. And if you are supposed to be a Brahmana, then your primary driver is Sattva, but your activities, Rajas is the secondary driver. Now that is the high level simplified, oversimplified version of what is a Varna. Now if you take the same thing and stretch it over a period of time, you are looking at this activity, the emphasis on the Purushartha, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha, right? On a linear scale, on a time scale, temporal scale, that what happens is we all born as a child, so the child is supposed to be given the foundation. So the foundation is Dharma. So the Brahmachari is focused on Dharma. Then the Grahastha is responsible for all the other three Varnas. So the Grahastha is focused on what? The Grahastha is focused on Artha. The grahastha without having regulation of control of artha is a failure. And that is what many of the grahasthas today are. Why? Because they are following the Western culture of borrowing and living on a credit card. You see, even at every single level, getting divorced from a Hindu way of thinking is detrimental to our own well-being. And then you get to the vanaprastha stage where you want to regulate kama. And it's an interesting one, because if you go and see the average old person today, I got comments from some of the people I was interacting that today the old people are worse than teenagers when it comes to WhatsApp, social media and things like that. You don't believe me? Go and interact with some of your parents or uncles and aunts or some older generation and get into their groups and see how bad they are, even not taking care of their own health. And then the last one is sannyasa, where the focus is on moksha. So that is the varnashrama as we just laid out. Now, why did we get into varnashrama? Because the average Hindu is only getting confused. Others are telling varna and everything is based on guna and karma. That's all. Krishna is saying the same. Everything is divided based on guna and karma. Exact words used in Bhagavad Gita. So what we need to do is take a little time to listen to Mahabharata, Ramayana, some Upanyasa, some Satsanga on a periodic basis. Now, I have told this issue earlier also. You want to minimize the negative that is coming through the senses, coming from the other inputs. Our goal is to be like the honeybee. What does the honeybee or the butterfly do? It only lives on the nectar of the fruit, of the flowers. It doesn't go and take other things. It only takes the nectar. Whereas, what does the housefly do? 1 minute it sits on the prasad that is given for Bhagavan. The next second it goes and sits on some rotting flesh or some sewage. So our mind is having a natural tendency of becoming a housefly, and all the modern problems all around us plus the internal confusion of the Hindu facilitates and advocates us to be that housefly kind of mindset. But we want to become that butterfly or that honeybee. So we want to minimize the negative that is coming into our mind, close down the spigot of the negative that is coming into your life, and try to augment more good things that you have to do and I have to do. Now, this is not a prescription for you. I am basically talking to myself, and I have a feeling that all of us are in the same boat. So I am just sharing. So it is not necessarily like I am talking down from a pulpit, thou shalt do this. No. It is basically like what I am telling to my own mind, and basically what I am trying to do myself. And it is like this. I am not a guru and you are not disciples either. But if you go to, let's say that you are a student who has come from out of station, joined the school 3 weeks after the school has started. Now this is your day 1. Now I have been attending from day 1. I have been keeping all notes. Good or bad, I understand only half, but I keep notes. Now you and I have become friends. So I say like, hey, look at these notes. This is how this problem works. This is what the teacher told me. I am just sharing those notes. That's all. So don't be under an illusion that, hey, this person is talking down to us, which is definitely not the case. Second thing is, be a bold and proud Hindu. You can be a secular and also be a Hindu, but you can never be a secular and be an Islamist or a Christian or something like that, because they both don't go together. Oil and water don't mix. You don't believe me? Show me one Islamic secular country. Okay. Show me one Christian country that you think is secular. Don't tell me US, because US calls itself as a Judeo-Christian country. Don't tell me England. They follow the Anglican Church. Don't tell me Germany. They follow Protestant Church. Don't tell me other European countries. They all are committed. Don't tell me Italy or Spain or Portugal. They are all Catholic countries. So only India is under this delusion that secularism is a great idea. Secularism is a idea that will be sold only to Hindus only. No other country follows that. The big country which is talking about human rights at the drop of the hat, US, till 60s was segregating blacks and whites. When did they even give the rights for the suffrage movement? When did the women get the voting rights? How many years since the voting started they gave that rights? And look at in India, right? On the day one independence, we gave them. So US is the last country to look at as an ideal. So don't give me jokes that the Western countries are all following secularism and India is not. That is what your friendly Biden would want you to tell, but that is far from fact. Again, this point we looked at it all the time. Don't tell all gods are same. If you tell all gods are same, then prove me through respect. Every Hindu will respect every other religion. Why? Because by nature, every Hindu, what is the goal? Even if you don't understand Paramatma, you want to understand you are Atma, right? If you understand you are the Atma, then what are you going to do? You are going to try to discover that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the intellect, you are not the prana, you are not the wealth, you are not the relationships you have or the power you project. Then what are you? You are the Atma. Now in that process, what are you going to do is understand. I turn around and I look, hey, my friend Bharata is there. Then what is he? He is also having the same Atma. So when I see, so all of you who are right-handed, do you start abusing your left hand? Left hand in India we use for a different reason, right? Hey, so that left hand should be chopped and it should be put in a separate bucket or something like a plastic cover. Do we do that? It is still part of your body, right? And you treat it with the same respect. Will somebody come and attack your left hand? Will you say, okay, chalo chalta hai, this is only left hand, right? We don't do that. So same way, when you understand everything is Atma, and when you understand that every Atma is only a reflection of Bhagavan, you are going to naturally extend respect and love to everyone. So a good Hindu can never be disrespectful to a Abrahamic religion also. Though in their religion it may say that, hey, you guys are pagan, you guys are kafir, you guys are wajibul qatal, that means you can be killed legitimately. We don't do that. So here is where we need to start understanding. When somebody says all gods are same, then if it is not a Hindu, then ask them one simple thing. Show me through the respect of my Devis and Devatas. Show me through the respect in your action. Don't, if I give you prasad, don't say that, no, I won't take, but you want me to come and partake your whatever you are giving, your Christmas cake or your nonsense about lecture about that Jesus lived or whatever. So we have to develop this. There are only two solutions for all of us here. for getting this escape. And sometimes you have to do both. We think that there is a choice between option 1 and 2, but I will tell you we have only 2 choices. And probably we have to do both. Option 1, get busy with your sadhana, that you don't have to be the person who is still at that confused Hindu level, that you are at a level where you can have enough information that you can educate your family, your friends. You have enough information that you can bring an influence, cast that influence in a positive way about Sanatana Dharma. And the other option is understand that Vyavarika and Paramarthika planes are two totally different things. Don't bring that all Paramarthika ideas into Vyavarika level. So you have to understand. And also, don't accept hearsay information. Now that's a big one. When it comes to spirituality, you want to experience it. We are talking about your Atma Anubhava. So you have to experience it. And there is nothing wrong that you challenge ideas, you ask for clarifications, ask questions, get clarification. Don't be into personality worship. We already saw this big time. We already saw that in the beginning itself, that Hindus have this natural tendency to worship great people. But today what is happening is all sorts of fake personalities are occupying that plane, like movie stars, like cricket or maybe politicians or things like that, or even fake new age babas. So respect everyone, at the same time focus on principles. Don't follow personalities, focus and follow principles. So if a person is a great personality you admire, but they have only one area of since we took Tendulkar as an example, let's take Tendulkar only as an example. Continue. Again, I'm not anti-Tendulkar or something like that. I'm just taking him as a popular example because everyone knows it. So I already told that he went as an MP, did nothing. But is there something which I can emulate from Tendulkar? Yes. The way he was disciplined when he could not hit a ball in a particular way, he would practice it again and again and again and again and again 1,000 times till he became a master of that particular ball. So you take the word discipline and put it in your life and see like, hey, I want to be disciplined in my sadhana. I want to be disciplined in the fact that I will not let others abuse my Sanatana Dharma. I will not let others ridicule me of Sanatana Dharma. I will not let others confuse my mind on what is my root connection to the Shastras. Then the other thing is, we'll take a couple more pointers and then we'll end the talk. I know it's been going on for a while. The second thing is, don't accept prejudice or bigotry. People come and when PETA comes and tells you, hey, you are all doing this, you are all doing some activity, you are having temple elephant, you are doing this, you are doing that. Don't let some fake entity come and lecture you. If you look Ganesh Chaturthi, for example, everything used to be coming. Look, there is an entire ecology behind it, science behind it. Ganesha's murtis were always constructed from excavating the lake bed, the clay from it, which was just before, and usually Ganesh Chaturthi happens in South India, especially before the monsoon comes. the South Indian monsoons, especially in Tamil Nadu. So they used to take that, make murtis out of it, and then what they do? They go back and immerse it back in a water body. So no clay is lost. But today what do? We celebrate it in a weird way by having imported Chinese Ganeshas, or having all sorts of synthetic things. When we played Holi to celebrate Krishna, what we used to do was something great. Everything was natural. Today, all the holy colors are being artificial color. All sorts of problems are coming. Some people are getting allergy. Some people are getting all sorts of issues. So go back to your roots. Don't follow something just because it is been recently followed by something. Go to the roots of the information and follow that. The last thing I would say is take time to understand, respect, and be proud of the wisdom of the past. Whether it is literally yoga, which we have given out to all the Westerners and we forgot it. Even ISKCON was created, but now we have handed over the ISKCON to white guys. I already told how SRF is totally gone. Paramahamsa Yogananda group is already Christianized, right? So let's go, and now suddenly someone says, oh, turmeric so good, Ayurveda says that. So try to go, and if you are that much into Ayurveda, then try to change your life according to Ayurveda. Not only for including turmeric. So let's not be that kind of hypocrite. Let's try to understand the science of our ancestors. Take time to educate yourself. Take time to understand. Now when we say the science of the past, immediately one cult will come and start saying, oh, we had all these great astras, they were all nuclear weapons, or we had flying vimanas. No, we are not talking about those. We are talking about tangible things, provable things, things that were understandable in every aspect of life. So look at the average confused Hindu can unconfuse him by seriously taking a few steps back, looking at their life, connecting back to Shastras, and looking at their own life with a lens of what is the artificial thing we have brought into our lifestyle now, as opposed to what our ancestors were doing. Our legacy is much more rich than what we are being told. So with those words, let me conclude the talk and open this discussion further. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, Har Har